Hello and welcome everyone to New York Sports Machine Gridiron Recap for our College Football Corner. And alongside Jersey Joe Archino, I'm Anthony Carlo. Jersey Joe, this past week we have a new top 5 in the AP rankings. And to begin things, we have Mississippi State sitting in that number 1 slot after beating Kentucky.
Absolutely. It was a pretty tough-fought win. It's an SEC game on the road against a Kentucky team that is definitely moving in the right direction. We saw last year Kentucky struggle tremendously against SEC opponents. They've already gone 2-3 against SEC teams this year. Definitely going in the right direction. But for Mississippi State, Dak Prescott, not his best game, but the defense held up. It's a road win. You'll take it. Moving ahead a little bit, you've got a game against Arkansas. I think they'll get a pretty easy win against Arkansas. Something called a UT Martin. They will dismantle that team. And then the big one we're all circling on our calendars, Alabama. That is going to be a terrific matchup. And if Mississippi State can beat Alabama, they should definitely get to the Egg Bowl against Ole Miss undefeated.
Jersey Joe, we have the Florida State Seminoles in that number 2 spot. Now, they did have a bye this week, but last week we remember that big win against Notre Dame. What can we expect from Jameis Winston and this Florida State Seminole team moving forward?
You look at Florida State, and I think it's pretty simple. They're going to go undefeated the rest of the way. They've got a game against Louisville coming up. They have games against Virginia, Boston College, Florida. So there's not a lot of challenge left on this schedule. I think if you're Florida State, you just want to try to get more momentum. The running game really needs to pick up. Defensively, you need to clean some things up, but Jameis Winston has been the savior for that team all year. He will get you undefeated to the playoffs. It's just going to be a matter of, can this team clean up their problems when they face a tough SEC opponent? I'm not convinced so far. We'll see if the closing weeks of the season that will happen.
Jersey Joe, Alabama with a big win against Tennessee this past week. What did you see from this matchup?
It was kind of interesting because, Tennessee at the beginning stages of this game, they just had no answer for Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper had a field day against this team. Such a physical, big, speedy receiver. And Blake Sims started off well, but Tennessee really came back. Alabama got out of rhythm for a while in this game, and Tennessee was gaining a lot of momentum, and Blake Sims really made me confident in his ability going forward. When you're a young quarterback and you're starting to the game is getting away from you, you need a big drive to take back control of the game, and that's exactly what Blake Sims did. I think that was big for his confidence, big for their offensive scheme going forward. So Alabama showing me a lot of things, but their schedule coming up very tough. Games against Auburn, rivalry week, game against Mississippi State in a couple weeks. Hard to see them winning both games. I think they win one of them, but I just don't see them beating both those teams.
Speaking of Auburn, they defeated South Carolina this week after that dream season last season. What have you seen with them so far this year?
Yeah, Auburn, you would think coming off their bye, they would have come out and really just taken it to South Carolina. But South Carolina gave them a really good game, won 42-35. And the weird thing about it is Dylan Thompson, a good quarterback, but very stationary, doesn't have great mobility in the pocket. And he really just had a field day against this Auburn defense, which is definitely much better this year. But the Auburn running game did its job. Nick Marshall was efficient in the passing game. I'm a big fan of the Auburn Tigers going forward. The very good matchup this week against Ole Miss, who was handed their first loss of the season. I think it's great timing for Auburn because Ole Miss really struggled against the run against LSU. Auburn's running game is really picking it up right now. I think it's a perfect time for Auburn to play Ole Miss at Ole Miss.
And in that 5 spot stands Oregon, and they beat California. Jersey Joe, what did you see from this past week?
Well, with the Oregon Ducks, it's all Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota is my Heisman favorite right now just because of everything he has to deal with. You look at Oregon, defensively, they've struggled tremendously all year. California just took it to the Oregon's defense, really had no answer for that offense. Marcus Mariota has made plays all year with a lackluster offensive line. That was evident again in this game against California, who really doesn't have that great of a pass rush. But Marcus Mariota has just made the big plays when he's had to. This has been his best year as a college athlete by far. And Marcus Mariota, he will take the Ducks as far as he can. You look ahead for them a little bit, game this weekend against the Stanford Cardinals. That is going to be a very tough game coming up. I like Marcus Mariota in this game, but Oregon has struggled against Stanford the last 2 years, getting handed losses both those times, and they have a game against Utah after that, which will be tough as well. So Oregon's got 2 tough games, but after that it gets much more manageable. As long as Marcus Mariota keeps playing the way he is, Oregon's got a very good chance to finish the season with the 1 loss they have.
Jersey Joe Archino, give this guy a breath. Let him take a chance to breathe. We'll be right back. We'll go in depth with the LSU win over Ole Miss this past weekend here on College Football Corner, New York Sports Machine. Back here on College Football Corner alongside Jersey Joe Archino, I'm Anthony Carlo. We just went through our top 1 to 5 in the AP rankings for college football. Now we're going to go a little more in-depth with the LSU stand against Ole Miss. 10-7, Jersey Joe, dropping Ole Miss to number 7 in the rankings.
Unbelievable game. I mean, you really thought Ole Miss, the schedule they had coming up, it was going to be very tough. And you knew they had a good chance of losing one of these games eventually. Now, it's bad timing for Ole Miss because a big key to that game for LSU was the running game. The running game was outstanding in this game. And when you looked at Ole Miss, you really thought that would be a big plus for them going into this game. LSU is a team that really struggles to throw the football. You thought Ole Miss would stack the box, but they just could not stop the running game for LSU, and it was a big reason why LSU came away with the win.
So, Jersey Joe, a big play in this game, and it did come down to the final seconds. Bo Wallace trying to lead his Ole Miss team to try and come back against the Tigers. It was a 10-7 contest, and Bo Wallace goes and takes a chance. He throws a pass to go for it all. He wanted that touchdown. He wanted the win. Coach Freeze, he had some other things to say about it. He was trying to go with a sideline pass to maybe set up the field goal. What is your feelings on throwing it in for all the marbles as Bo Wallace did?
It's one of those things. Before the season, I have to be honest, I was always very critical of Bo Wallace, especially his decision-making, a guy who really turned the ball over a lot, and that was very evident in this game. He had played extremely well in the season to this point, but that game, I think, was really a reflection of what the knock has always been on Bo Wallace, is in the critical decision, not the best decision maker right there. So right there, I'm not sure about Bo Wallace. I definitely thought, I was screaming at the TV at that point because we would have had a chance to have a very good, exciting overtime. I'm not sure what Bo Wallace was thinking. Hugh Freeze's displeasure was very understandable in that spot.
Well, Bo Wallace did say, and I quote, "I'm not going to talk about it. One-on-one, threw it up, done." And just as he said done, we are done here with our College Corner, Jersey Joe Archino, Anthony Carlo on New York Sports Machine Gridiron Recap.